stories making headlines on the AYV newspaper. Our next pick is the A to Z newspaper on its front page. Freetown's vulnerable women received donation from Leone Rock Medical Group on International Women's Day. Welcoming 25th CMT, Chinese 24th Medical Team leaves legacy of healing in Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone recognized for gender equality reforms in 2024. Minister of Internal Affairs storms Skyline District. Alleged theft at Royal Air Morocco. Employee remanded. Those are some of the stories making headlines on the A to Z newspaper. Our next pick is the Awoko newspaper on its front page. NGC responds to alleged police intrusion. 1924 to 2024, Sierra Leone's oldest football club, Regent Olympic, celebrates 100 years. NP empowers Tonko Limba on International Women's Day. International IDEA and PPRC collaborate to empower political parties on dispute resolution. Those are some of the stories on the front page of the Awoko newspaper. Our next pick is the political newspaper on its front page. NGC NEC meeting ends in chaos. 91% unmet surgical needs in Sierra Leone. EBK's medical assessment ongoing, court told. By Mahmoud denies involvement in coup. Stories making headlines on the political newspaper. Our next pick is the Global Times newspaper on its front page. Musa Tari and his 2028 ambition. VP Julde says, more women in governance now more than ever. In praise of car power shape, First Lady delivers speech at Harvard University. Those are the stories on the front page of the Global Times newspaper. Our next pick is the Standard Times newspaper. On its front page, tension at correctional services. Assistant Director Towns Adebayo. Immigration boss to modernize passport services. Those are the stories on the front page of the Standard Times newspaper. Our next pick is the exclusive newspaper, Samura Kamara angry, but Chief Minister says, I am sorry, sir. I think you have been misinformed. 27th March announced in court, but the health status of the former president is still serious. 7 for SLPP flag bearer, and the phases of Honorable Alhaji Musa Tawali, Ambassador Ali Kaba, VP Mohamed Jule, Kande Kola Yunkela, Honorable Sidi Mohamed Tunis, Timothy Kaba, and Dr. Senge. Tension escalates at NGC meeting. Sierra Leone technocrats excelling on global stage. The journey of Emmanuel Kanji. Our next pick is the Voice of Salone newspaper. On its front page, Africell Impact Foundation and UN Women commemorate International Women's Day. As police disperse meeting NGC and SLPP marriage divorce eminent, Samura Kamara raises concerns over harassment of key APC members. Court orders annexed by Kuruma's lawyers to present progress medical report. Sneaker launches Arms and Ammunition Act number 24 of 2023. Our next pick is the Trumpet newspaper. On its front page, health authorities confirm polio virus in Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone showcases surgical volume rates with increase in number of surgeons in public facilities. Landmark progress made in women's empowerment, VP declares. Africell Impact Foundation and UN Women commemorate International Women's Day. And for our final pick, the Comments newspaper on its front page. President Bio strengthened bilateral ties with UAE, a step towards sustainable development. VP Julde on International Women's Day. First Lady Dr. Fatima Madabio delivers powerful speech at Harvard University. VP Julde opens West African College of Surgeons 64th General Meeting. Well, those are some of the newspapers we have in the studios this morning and some of the stories making headlines on the newspapers. Well, Honorable, we've had some of the stories making headlines on the newspapers. I will start with the one that has to do with the International Women's Day celebration. On the front page of the AYV newspaper, with inspiring mentorship session, AYV celebrates International Women's Day. And I will want to link this with the It's a story here on the A to Z newspaper. Leone recognized for gender equality reforms in 2024. If I can just read an excerpt of this story. In the recent release of the World Bank's flagship annual report, Sierra Leone has emerged as a focal point for gender equality and advancement, as highlighted in the 2024 edition of the World Business and the Law report. The report, which evaluates progress towards legal gender equality across 190 countries, underscores Sierra Leone's significant strides in implementing crucial reforms between October 2022 and October 2023. Only 18 countries globally introduced legal reforms aimed at enhancing gender equality, with Sierra Leone being one of them. Among the 10 indicators evaluated by the report, Sierra Leone showcased notable progress across various domains, including safety, mobility, workspace, pay, marriage, parenthood, childcare, entrepreneurship, assets, and pension. Sierra Leone's recognition stems from its commitment to enacting reforms that directly impact women's rights and economic empowerment. The country's initiatives have boosted key indicators such as pay and marriage, resulting in a substantial increase in its scores on the 2024 WBL index, with a score of 82.5%. Now, Honorable, Sierra Leone being recognized for its gender equality reforms in 2022, being among 18 countries that were able to enact laws that promote gender equalities, and we've heard from the indicators that were looked into. And this is coming together with the celebration of the International Women's Day. What do you have to make up of this?
Well, we have gone a long way to start 1,000 miles, because when we started this gender equality, there were about 5 or 10 women in parliament. They went to 18, 20 something. And now we're having about the 30% quota. And they are opening the space for women to participate even in politics. They're training them and everything, which is quite good. Though it's an affirmative action, but at the same time we have made it into a legal document that's the entitlement. You remember the last one that they had was to this gender violence. Government had to put more attention to see that, to curb it. Then they came with stiff sentences so that they can be able to do justice to them. So what we're looking at now is for government to continue. And then the women who are placed in this position of trust and responsibility should be a team player, bringing more people on board. I said it somewhere in other conversation in a radio program. Sierra Leone run the Apple company. Just imagine when Jonah, Kaba, they all did it. How many Sierra Leoneans were in that union? What you had Nigerians, Indian, Bangladeshi, Ghanaians, Nigerians, they brought them in. So it's the same thing, the women choose to have a helping hand to mentor and bring people up. So that number will increase. Forget about the legislation now. If you don't, you can legislate, but if you force somebody to do it and they are not a team player, what the hell are you doing then? That means let us encourage women to embrace each other, because the normal thing they say, women are not helping company when they say for voting. But that will change, that's perception. It will change by sensitizing and a lot of outreach for them to believe in each other. So government have tried and made necessary legislation to give them more room for improvement.
No. The legislation has been passed with regards to the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act. But in terms of implementation, how well are we doing as a country implementing the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act?
But that's not what I was saying. Look at the appointment of more women. Even it cuts across the board. You have younger folks being there who are trained and qualified, and then they expose them in terms of governance. So government don't do your own level best. Now we embrace each other and make sure we be a team player that we can improve the delivery system. Not when somebody give work now, you have to begin lord it over people. Be a team player. It's normally what we look at, the younger generation sometimes want to lord it over things. That's inexperience, but with time they will learn and get over it.
All right. Now, we've just been joined in the studios by Melvin Sijan Mansaye. Good morning and welcome to the show, Melvin.
Thank you very much for having me. Sorry for coming in. Good morning to our Chibi and our viewers.
Well, you just met us discussing on a story here that has to do with Sierra Leone recognized for gender equality reforms in 2024. And the indicators, this is from a World Bank report, the World Bank's flagship annual report, which is the World Business and Law. And the indicators presented here that we are looked into in terms of safety, mobility, workplace, pay, marriage, parental, childcare, entrepreneurship, assets, and pension. And it says the country initiative have boosted key indicators such as pay and marriage, resulting in a substantial increase in its scores on the 2024 WBL index, with a score of 82.5%. I was just asking, Honorable, we've passed the Gender Equality and Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act, and we've seen a bit of progress. But in terms of implementation, how well are we doing, or how best are we doing as a country in implementation of the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act?
Well, in the first place, I think we must accept what we have before us as a matter of fact, that Sierra Leone is recognized for gender equality reforms in 2014. That is the bottom line. 2024, sorry. So if that's the bottom line, we must say yes, congratulations and kudos to those institutions that have made it possible. But above all, political willingness, and above all, consistent campaigning from feminist and women's empowerment groups. So that's the first thing. And it shows that, yes, we are an example to others. It shows that we have a story to tell, and we must adequately tell the story. I think the other side, on the other hand, that you're asking whether they are reflective, it's going to be a work in progress. Because if you look at the GV bill itself, it says there should be reports from MDAs on their gender sensitivity, something of the sort. It makes a lot of provisions that I would say it will take time, but for the fact that they are there, it takes the same goodwill, commitment, and consistency from all those that are interested on the issue of gender equality and empowerment. So for me, I think, yes, we cannot have it all. We cannot say there are no downsides or challenges, but the fact remains that we are a beacon. People are looking up to us. So it's up to us again as to how we can overcome those challenges, because we still have stereotypical issues. We still have misogynistic antics and activities. We still have, I was just the other day in one of the northern chiefdoms in which I asked the paramount chief if, well, with the empowered number of women MPs, if they are thinking about having women as paramount chiefs in some parts of the north. And the paramount chief, I will not mention the name, said, Melvin, that's a no-go area. So we still have those boundaries to overcome. But above all, if we want to empower women, I think we must make it constitutionally enshrined that, because the jury is a secondary legislation, and until we legislate it primarily in a constitutional review stating that the 30% quota or baseline, not the ceiling, is a must. Like, for example, in France, we followed the story of how they've now constitutionalized safe abortion. I think the issue of women's empowerment also should be constitutionalized, because at the end of the day, if the Constitution does not make provision for it, when it comes to shoving or arguments, people are going to capitalize on, well, our Constitution is saying, in fact, there should be equality before the law. But again, women's group are arguing that there are exceptions or give and take. So it's a process. It's going to be an event, but with the good strides we are making, I think we can attract a lot of funding for us to overcome the challenges as a nation. But this should be welcoming, if no lesser institution, but that of the United Nations It's recognizing on the World Bank. It means a lot for our country's scorecard in other benchmarks and indicators. So I think this should be welcoming and we should up the game on those weak areas.
Indeed, we need to up the game on the weak areas. Let's go to another story. On the Awoko newspaper, NGC responds to alleged police intrusion. And here you have on the political newspaper, NGC NEC meeting ends in chaos. And a very interesting one here on the Voice of Salon newspaper, as police disperse meeting, NGC and SLPP marriage divorce imminent. Was it on Friday or so? We saw some members of the National Grand Coalition Party staging a peaceful protest in front of their office and calling for the party executive to revisit or look into the agreements they had with the ruling party, the SLPP, before the election, that they should revisit those agreements, that the SLPP has failed to live up to the agreement, and they are calling for them for a divorce from the marriage that was between the two parties. What has made the relationship so sour, Honorable?
Because they didn't carry nobody. Yumkela went on his own, and the other SLP people that went to the NGC in protest have gone back home. So what are we talking about? Because when you are having a coalition, like Pakaba had with the other political parties in 96, it brought them on board. But you, then let's create one position for you, you satisfy. Why did you want to form a party? Is it a social club? You're meddling with people's future and lives. Because you're coming together to promote an idea. And you fail them. The Alusine and the Alasantin syndrome have gone. And the other people who went with him have returned back to SFP. So what the SFP do, providing for your own company kind, and the rest of mankind can stay there. That is why the divorce is not new. Divorce will have to be, because when you have a coalition, you, as a leader, to show leadership quality, you bring people with you, carry them. But if you don't carry them, what are you having a coalition for? Just on paper? Because they don't know inside there. You know, you see, when you have a selfish kind of behavior tendency, you think of yourself, so there's no point. That is why sometimes we should be mindful when we're forming these political parties. Like, even in that act that they said, that we are going, was it Emerson, was it not part of the act? Cherry Coco was not part of the act? Martin Newman was not part of it? When they tried to enfranchise other political parties to safeguard their own self, and the two of them knew they are gone. So that's the reality of life, I'm just saying. As I say it, I'm talking. It's not your young AYV view, but what is on the ground, because you live here and you know exactly. Because that amendment, if you didn't touch that amendment, all this kind of tripartite arrangement would have been done, because other politics have been inclusive. The spirit behind what they call the PR system, to bring smaller parties on board so we can have a unified terms of governance. You don't have to be a minister, you don't have to be, but coming on board in shaping the future to 2028. But we've missed it. So from that angle I'm coming from, so let SFB now, or they divorce and then continue in building their own party.
Now, Honorable, let's look at the ideas of establishing some of these parties. We've seen mostly for the establishment of these breakaway parties as a result of discontent. So let's look at the genuinity in establishing some of these parties. We've seen that with PMDC, a breakaway, and today, where is PMDC? We also sold out with UDM.
Yes.
And now it's NGC.
Yes.
Let's look at the genuinity, the sincerity of establishing some of these parties.
What sincerity? Is it any government that can form their own breakaway, encourage them to go? But for me, the scenario of the NGC Yumkela saga, but people thought it was the answer. So it carried them away. But by carrying them, the party didn't break. Because at the end of the day, if it was a heavyweight, you would have won a seat. But you go campaign, you go there with yourself, then the party in name, and then you say you come to coalition. You should have brought them on board so that they can be a team. But it was a loose agreement they signed, just for face the public. Like exactly what happened. When we have these leadership codes, Kaifa Smart died, UNPP died, Temu died, PDP died. This died. The only thing Charles is there, so Charles can try to galvanize, but the support base that he used to have was from SLPP. So the coalition sometimes doesn't work. Like the UDM was the breaker, but then what happened? An SM fund, UDM, think to say it's in their own advantage, but it was not. All mango eats your own commodity, and then say you are party leader. Just to get so you have a position. When they give them a position, they don't carry others with them. They take for themselves, go sit on staff and say, let God don't much of me, but let it do. That's the selfishness. That is when you're asking for sincerity of purpose. People are not sincere, but all man they go try for check for and say, you don't get, no go there. If you don't believe in the cause, don't join. That is why I said the coalition was, the only will be following kind of umbrella, go to the NDC, return. The only will not be, no get the idea with the SLPP ideology. They are left in limbo. And if you look at this right and the resignation, he spelled it like it's disappointing because the ideas they are fighting for, they place mistrust confidence in candidate. So me, for anything you ask me, I don't know because I not join NDC. SLPP, if you go, you go take yourself go. I just get work because I come out now SLPP for yourself, you return back. This fellow was with in the strategic communication. He left them early, so he had a job. So it's not because of the coalition now. That's the difference. So many of them can like how we say this big man never they go form party. Let them go sit down. South no can disrupt the peace and tranquility of this country. Because he is part of that. Emerson and him were part of that amendment act that they remove that publishing of results on the wall.
Now, Melvin, less than a year-old marriage. The two couples, one of the couple is already calling for divorce. Is it due to the fact that it was based on loss, not love?
It not only mean loss, it was a marriage of convenience. A marriage based on precursors and preconditionalities. And now it's clear that women want to go married or women are married, man not go married because of, say, sentiments. Because married now one day, chop money now every day. So it's a matter of the chop money in the simple context, wherein the beneficiations that were expected from the NGC are not forthcoming. And they're expressing their frustration on that. The SLPP is not trustworthy on its deals, which is quite important to note. This is the governing party. And we saw how they were desperate. The things to look at here is what was the transition plan or the alliance TOR. Of course, it was agreed that they should be ministers, deputy ministers, or be given positions. But of course, it was also not stated that when that should be. I will always blame my own good friend and icon, Honorable Dr. Kande Yimtala. He knows this. He knows I say it openly. It is so great to have been, well, can I say three-footed?
No, not three-footed.
Can I please land? Remember, that's that man be Sidomo. He was approached by his summer, by the former husband or boyfriend, as we would call it, in which some paramount chiefs were all in attendance, in which the man goes saying he wants the woman back. So the man was running his party as the most centrist political party in Sierra Leone in recent history. And all of a sudden, President Madabio reapproached him again as to let the bygones be bygones. And they want to see Sierra Leone be in a better place. I think if they've done that in good faith, fine. But what was not done in good faith on the side of both men and both political parties is to call things by their names. When are we to have these positions? SLPP also demanding, this show is now becoming a one-man show. And it was unfortunate on an intellectual party like that of the SLPP for them to have banked an agreement or an alliance on just one man. SLPP did not gain from that alliance other than the fact that the confrontation was not tense in Cambia. Had it been a tripartite election there, it could have been something perhaps not in their favor. So that's the only gain. But in terms of what political capital the NGC contributed to the SLPP, well, posterity will judge. But the SLPP themselves never stated it's that NGC coming on board in this alliance should be bringing this. In fact, they also agreed on how true they should be mobilizing cash. But we don't know who are the signatories to those mobilized cash, be it on the side of the NGC or on the side of the SLPP. So a lot to learn from going into political alliances. But if there is anything to look back and ponder over, is the death of third forces or so-called political independence or neutral parties. And I will blame this on the SLPP. If NGC, which in my estimation is in a state of political coma, is to end up dead.
And you see them becoming like the
No,
PMBC,
coma, you need to in a
UDM.
coma. A coma again in time, you know, past that 7 days. Either you die or you wake. So that's the situation politically the NGC is in. And who contributed to this? I think the plunge came from the SLPP and the leader and some of the leaders in the NGC fell for it. And now they are coming to face the consequences. So there is a lesson to learn there, but it's not new like Honorable Chidi is saying. And I think for the SLPP, they must be very careful. 2028 election is going to be very strategic. And if these things are coming out in these alliances, what if things get very tight or get very list and you need somebody else to come in as a buffer? Do you think other political parties are going to be willing to enter in such an alliance with that? So for me, another lesson here is, for Lambukuna one, but forget the common sense is another thing. How with the NGC, with all their diaspora, with all their United Nations background and experience, their lawyers could not envisage an alliance. This is like another toll gate agreement. You know, quite unfortunate on the part of the administration, but particularly the legal team of the NGC. I'm afraid they cannot survive this coma.
And we are now seeing infighting in the party. While some faction of the party is in favor of the alliance, others are against the alliance, calling for a divorce.
And it's for a reason. Those that are in favor of the alliance, because they are benefiting from perhaps the suits of the alliance. The ones that are not benefiting, these are the ones that are complaining. So the onus is upon the political party itself to see what it wanted. But I think it's quite serious how they would come out of this. I mean, SLP is always going to have a hand in the NGC. And the new phenomenon, according to my sources, is that some people within the NGC are considering the option of allying with the APC. That's going to make the situation, in fact, messier. Because at the end of the day, if you have one NGC split into two, APC and SLPP, then what is going to be left of it is just the skeleton or the carcass. So for me, I think Honorable Yumkela did not do, and his courts did not do justice to the NGC. And it's a serious political lesson to be learned by the political class.
All right, that's a very good lesson to be learned from. But let's go over to the exclusive newspaper on its front page. 7 for SLPP flag bearer. And the faces of Honorable Musa, or Alachi Musa Tawali, Ambassador Ali Kaba, VP Mohamed Chule Jallo, Kane Koloyim Kela, Dr. David Moina Senge, Honorable Sidi Mohamed Tunis, and Timothy Kaba. Let me just read an excerpt of the story. The Sierra Leone People's Party is reportedly grappling over the issue of choosing a competent and appealing presidential flag bearer that will best replace the incumbent president, retired Brigadier Julius Marabio, in the forthcoming 2020 presidential election. From what the exclusive has gathered, 7 prominent individuals have so far expressed interest in the highly coveted position, and it is expected that more will follow. Those that have already expressed interest are eyeing that enviable position are the current Vice President, Dr. Mohamed Jallo, the Chief Minister, Dr. David Senge, Foreign Affairs Minister, Timothy Kaba, ECOWAS Speaker, Honorable Tunis, and also Ambassador to the United States of America, Ali Kaba, former Minister in the erstwhile APC-led government and former leader of CPP Musa Tali, and former leader of the National Grand Coalition Party. The journey to succeed the president, it seems as if it's begun in the SLPP waves. According to the exclusive newspaper, Honorable, these are the phases that have shown
What
interest.
phases?
The phases that have shown
Oh,
interest.
the one that you read.
Yeah, the one I've just read.
We needed a unifier.
Honorable Kaninkela, Ali Kaba, the Vice President, Dr. Senge, Musa Tawari, and also Speaker of ECOWAS Parliament and Timothy Kaba. From these faces,
We cannot laugh.
what's your take from this?
But we politicians, we don't learn nothing. At the same time, begin with 18 to 28. See the chaos. It landed the country in terms of political opening space. Now, 1 year, 2023, with the grapple for whether election right or no election right, it's all concentrate to consolidate the pace. And now with the cowardice here. But the point is, it's good. But look at it again. We for slow down because now look at all this. Now with the fact check and cross check that you want somebody who will be able to unify Sierra Leone. And you are asking about sincerity for Kande Yumkela vis-a-vis the UN. What do you think? Have any of them, when you will sign alliance with them, will they deliver the deliverables? Or way convenient and take them then do them? Because the present system too agreed with the alliance with the NGC. But at the end of the day, that talk will be the talk. So for now, I won't comment on it. Let's see how it unfolds. And look at you have to choose somebody who can bring people together.
And from these faces and names,
I don't know about this yet. No, let us sit down and watch them. Because first, the man didn't have power also. In not 1 year yet. We have other problem in coming to bringing unity in diversity to bring also. So you need somebody from that angle now. The lens will be focusing, like who can able to bring these factions together, north, west, south, east. But a combination maybe from the east, which has never had the opportunity, can be good. But is the person that will emerge from that east or the west or the south or the north? That's our problem. And with my own little common sense, we're not common, is that. Oh, watch the color, but who talk the independent? At the end of the day, Tunis be starts. What do you do? Now I say, but my friend pull you up and they say, we're at bank complex. They don't come back. Musa Tawali has gone. This is my friend. I call him the smooth operator. Maybe, but let us cool down first and give peace a chance so that business can come in. Because we angry, not talk politics. Now, price they go up to all the stadium. Not if I can bring take money, give it for fast months. We would have put a stop to it, so it's able to control the price by having trade inspector to stabilize it, like what they did in Liberia and Guinea. They should not be advocating, working with the leader. But what the man is for fetch for himself? Right now to this, we're not in our spirits themselves. So let's slow down back and let's see how we consolidate the pace. So by 2026, we will start. But for me, the race now is too early.
Melvin, Honorable believes that it's too early for these phases showing up or expressing interest to succeed President Biyu as the flag bearer of the SLPP party. But from the phases you've seen there, what's your take?
It's quite interesting. I'm trying to find the source of this, and it's just like an hypothesis. Let's understand this. There are no concrete sources being mentioned or referenced by the newspaper, other than it's just speculation. And yes, we can do that as journalists to look ahead. And I think this is one of those articles. And of course, it's good for sales. And you never know. It can be good also for PR, for those names already mentioned. Are they projecting themselves towards the end as being reported? I think it's something we're going to dissect. But for me, I'll come back to the superficials. Let me just deal with what I think are the tangibles. What are the tangibles here? The question will not go away as to who will replace Julius Maada Biyu. That question, SLPP, they like it or not, when or how or why, they are going to be grappling with that. So that is the first question. Another political question, in my estimation, the SLPP should be asking themselves is the question of, will President Bio replace himself, or will he be replaced by the party? It's quite synodical, right? President Bio replacing himself would be another illustration of Yusabiam, Anes Baikroma appointing directly or indirectly Samuel Akama on the first one. That was EBK appointing his successor, by extension, himself. And according to the pattern in Africa and many places, many outgoing presidents want a suitable successor that they are, at least, if I'll use the word, that they are assured. So, will President Bio be democratic enough to allow the SLPP to decide for itself? Or will he, like EBK, which would be a disastrous mistake for him, attempt to choose a candidate for the SLPP? That is something quite significant. And for those who believe they love SLPP as a political party and an entity politically, they should be pondering over that. As to whether, is it timely or not? Well, based on what this writer might be thinking, and I want to partly subscribe, you like it or not, you're going to be talking about this. Now or then. All what we need to establish, talking about it now, will it help democratic delivery? I'm afraid not, because everybody will be seen by now as suspects. Oh, because they want to replace Tipa, and that's why. And so it will be undermining to governance and government collectivity. But again, this is the balance to be kept here. You cannot suppress these people not to express their political ambitions. People like Ali Kaba. You cannot. Or, of course, for the case of Jules Lejalo, yes, you will say, oh, he's directly answerable. But other people like, for example, Musa Tarawali, you cannot debar them from expressing what they wish for, if they've done so. But let me just give my pick here and say, if there's going to be any tight fights for who is going to take over from President Bio, it's going to be my prediction that it's going to be between Sidi Mohamed Tunis, Honorable, and Dr. Mohamed Jules Lejalo. Those are going to be the Teflon forces. I don't know. I have not seen other forces. Of course, if I'm a political, if I'm a partisan, the name Dr. Kande Yunkela will have to wait. For obvious reason that it lacks the people's support. The election at Kishom and Kambia is an indicator as to what kind of presidential candidate he will make. Unlike Jules Lejalo and his influence in Port Loco. And see how he's fishing people like the Alpha Khan and others. So you will not write him out. But again, you look at this man in the picture, Dr. Sidi Mohamed Tunis. He is perhaps the newest diplomatic face of Sierra Leone globally, not only in West Africa. So I think the good thing for SLPP, they have a lot to pick from, but that can be a bad thing too. Because when it comes to the quest of power, when powerful people are in clash for power, sometimes it can be nasty, if I'll put it. But I think for David Senge
because
and Timothy Kaba,
that he has been projected.
David Senge has a lot to learn in the body politics of Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone politics is not just about academia. Yes, it's about delivery of results. But I think David Senge has a lot to learn. Like my own friend, Timothy Kaba. You know, we must not be misleading people like they used to mislead some of the old people, say, more time. We need to tell them. David Senge and Timothy Kaba, perhaps after 2028, I am not God, but I'm a political thinker too. It will not be suitable for them. They can make the kings for now as to who succeed, and they will be at a better place now establish themselves. But if they venture, I will not want to say they are political. I don't want to use that word, but Sierra Leone politics for what it is, I will tell you, even if you bab 50-10, you are going to be babbed. And even if you can speak whatever languages, you're going to be told a language that you will not understand until you understand it. So let it be a race that is close-knitted. I think, yes, of course, Musa Tarawali, no matter what you say, I know perhaps he's now on his sub-tour campaigning, he's He's not a stranger to the politics, but again, you go down to look at what is political clout, his political profile, persona. And I think that's what puts Julia Jallo and Sidi Mohamed Tunis a part of all of them. In terms of political profile, you cannot take it away from Julia. Yes, he came in as a freshman in politics, but he's now serving his second term. We hope it will not end like the Sam Sumana kind of situation. He will not be three-footed again, SO2. But I think he has amassed a lot of experience. He's managed, not always in good times, but he's managed, and I hope the issue of ethnicity will not come up when it comes to the ER issue. And if you put that in tandem with Dr. Sidi Tunis, he's been there since 95. I think in terms of experience, he's more experienced than all of them. I stand to be challenged. Yes, in terms of salon political experience, I think Dr. Tunis, he's been a political leader of a political party before joining the SLPP, and that, I think it was in 95.
NUP.
NUP. So he has been there, and looking at his contact, looking at his connections. If I was a member of the SLPP, perhaps I would begin to say, well, Pa, you like it or not, you need to up this game for this thing.
All right. Well, let's go over to the Comments newspaper. On its front page, it has President Biyo strengthening bilateral ties with UAE, a step towards sustainable development. And in a significant diplomatic move, President Julius Maada Bio, popularly known as the Talk and Do, met with His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the President of the United Arab Emirates and the ruler of Dubai, Abu Dhabi, on Wednesday, March 6, 2024, at the Al Bahad Palace in Abu Dhabi. This historic meeting marks a pivotal moment in the ongoing effort to enhance bilateral relationship between Sierra Leone and the UAE, paving a way for strengthening economic and strategic cooperation. The president has been on the move, Honorable.
Yeah.
And this his recent stop was at UAE.
Yeah.
A meeting with the president of UAE and a hope for sustainable developments in terms of strengthening economy and also strategic cooperation.
Very interesting questions you're asking. It's good for us, but opinion, since Pakaba in term, the Chakasiv in term, moment in term, where would the go Arab country? Maybe benefit individual. But as a country, they get cold feet when they want to come. It was Creative Fund that did that, took a road. But what happened, they said the people are enjoying alcohol and something, and this end. So they started it from Waterloo. And then,
Really?
Yes, that's the truth, I'm telling you. Then it was now Pakabao came back and bought it this end. This word was started from Momo's time. Creative Fund. But every time we go to this Arab country, unless they will go make it, it's just, to me, it's Photoshop. It's just Photoshop in the sense that they go in there, have a picture and everything, hoping that they'll come and invest. But how many Arab investment, maybe they'll do us, maybe through Badia, they put some money in there. And they'll do the forever college and everything. But for the kind where they invest in Libya, in Senegal, some other African countries, not to say they bring salon. I don't even know to trust you, but maybe individual might benefit, but to me, as a nation, they will always tell you big money coming in. But let us say they've got promised us a hospital, a state-of-the-art hospital at, I think, Port Loco. We hope and pray they build that one. Then when we don't sit down, then I'm able to talk more. But apart from now, I rest my case because I'm open to see that big state-of-the-art hospital. And maybe when they see, sometimes it's the way we communicate so much information. By the time they don't make the Photoshop, then come back. Then the people don't communicate it better for us to understand how the investment program that the Arabs are